John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast, in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. Yeah, it's a celebratory episode, John.
It is.
We're live streaming, we're using a new system, we're doing things differently. There's a lot going on.
There is, yeah.
So yeah, we're doing a celebratory episode because, you know, a lot of podcasts will do whatever, a 6-month celebration, a 1-year celebration, and I'm not knocking that. But you and I, John, are relatively like literal people, right?
Right. I mean, it's just like any young relationship. You want to celebrate all the milestones.
Yes. John and I did celebrate our 3-day anniversary after we met, and that was very romantic. And then we've celebrated every 3 days since. But what we're celebrating today is a half year, but by week standards. How many weeks are in a year, John?
52.
And we do an episode a week, and this is episode 26. Which turns out is half of 52. We're at our half-year celebration with our episode 26 Extravaganza.
Right.
This is a big deal, John. Like, I know I talk, you know that we both talk pretty highly of this podcast to each other. This means a lot to us. And when we started in June, I think we probably both saw us going this far and further. But for us to actually be here and to like feel like it, at least for me, I think you probably agree, like feel like there's a good rhythm to this and this is going to keep going and we're not stopping anytime soon. That's an accomplishment. Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking, you know, behind the scenes about stuff and you know, how we could potentially make it bigger and better. And
we're only growing more. And much like every human being on this planet, this podcast is a work in progress. We are works in progress. We're going to continue to add things, but we figured this episode would mark sort of the beginning of us launching into something new and a celebration of what we've accomplished in the 25 episodes prior. So we have created quizzes for each other based on the previous 25 episodes in some form or another, correct?
Yep. And I know that we were talking in pre-show about, you know, streaming on Facebook and everything, and that if you listen to the pre-show, you might hear the issues that we were having and everything. But I believe your mother, Gloria, says congratulations on episode 26.
My mom, so I guarantee my mom was just on Facebook, because I didn't tell her about this. She was probably just on Facebook scrolling through and said, Lack of Genius Live, that's my son. Let me see what's going on. And while my mom is not a patron, she has donated to us because technology is just too much for my mom sometimes. She doesn't need to go on a Patreon account and become an official patron. She just says, here you go, honey, let me write you a check. And then I split it with John. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Mother. The reason I'm laughing is because it's like, this is the level we're at now. And I don't mean it too condescendingly. Like, look, we have people commenting and it's my mom. Right. My mom is a fantastic supporter of mine. She supports me in a lot of things that I do. And I'm very lucky for that. So thank you.
Yes. And I appreciate the support as well.
Yes. You can call her mom too, if you want to. Like mom number 2 is what I mean, not mom as well.
Being married, I think it would have to be mom number 3.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have a mother-in-law. Yeah, she would not be happy about that. Mom 2 would not. So mom 3 it is. Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I want to get it right. Tidy up. You know, I bet you there are podcasts that exist that are 26 episodes in and their moms don't even listen. So we got that going for us. John, we didn't discuss Tidy Up. I do have one. Did you have any? I want to make sure I'm not stealing one from you.
I don't think I got any.
So my Tidy Up comes from my buddy Grayson, who is a fan of our show, a friend of our show, someone who I talk to on a pretty regular basis about our podcast, and it's always a fun conversation. And it's not an official Tidy Up. What it is he told me a story. He was like a groundskeeper of sorts, a maintenance worker. I forget if it was for a park system or what it was, but he was working at a state park And a gentleman that he works with came up to him and said, hey, I've been assigned the task of cutting down that giant tree over there, a logging job. And I need you to be my spotter. And if you remember in our quiz last week,
right,
we were told that the job spotter does not exist in the world of logging. And this is no knock on Jeff, because Jeff admittedly says, I don't know all the jobs, but I couldn't find anything about a spotter. Now, here's where this gets even more interesting is this man that was going to cut down this tree with Grayson, he is not an official logger, not for our podcast and not in real life. He is, I believe the word that Grayson used is like a glorified gardener. He was just like the highest up gardener, so he was the guy that they assigned to cut down the tree. And here's what he told Grayson to do as the spotter. He said, you're gonna stand over there, you're gonna look at the tree, I'm gonna have the chainsaw cutting the tree, and the second you see the tree wavering even just a little bit, you run up to me, tap me on the shoulder, and we run the other way. And I was like, yeah, this sounds like that sounds like a real safe way to go about this. Right. Now he did cut it down properly, like he did a wedge thing, and but I was just like, okay, there may not be an official logging certification, but that would certainly not be the way to do it. And Grayson lived to tell the story, and the tree came down, so I guess it all worked out.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Like a genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
So, John, you're going to ask the first question. And what I'll say is, John and I came up with this episode. I think, John, you were the one who suggested episode 26. That should be our celebration. Yeah. And I actually think I did brainstorm this a little with Grayson about this idea of like a review episode where we sort of give those who have been listening for most or all of the 25 episodes, probably the longer you've been listening, the more you'll appreciate this episode. But I think we'll have appreciators regardless. And all I'll say is John and I quickly had a conversation about what kind of questions are you making, and we sort of talked about it, but we may have completely different style of questions. I don't know. We're gonna see. We
may even have overlap.
Yeah, I was gonna say there may be, or I may have accidentally listened to an old episode that answers a question. Who knows? We're gonna see what happens. But we have 5 questions each. I believe I'm up 1 on the total win-loss column.
I believe so.
11 for me, 10 for John, 5 ties, 4 ties, something like that, wherever the math checks out. Anyways, I'm done rambling. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
So I'm gonna take you back to the very beginning.
Okay.
What was the date that episode 1 went live?
That's hilarious. I don't know, but I was so close to looking up that fact before the show because I knew in my intro I wanted to say something like, "No, we're not doing 6 months to the day. We're doing 26 weeks." So I 100% meant to, but because I had to babysit my nephew, I didn't have time.
So your options are June 19th,
okay,
June 20th, June 24th, or June 30th.
19th, 20th, 24th, and 30th of June. Okay, so I'm going to say, wait, I can use a little bit of logic because I know our second episode was the 4th of July episode, which would have gone live, like, I don't remember what day of the week the 4th was on, but I believe our episode would have gone live just before the 4th. So let's say that went live on like the 2nd. 7 days earlier would be 1st. 30th, 29th, 28th, 27th, 65 would be 25, which the closest option here is June 24th. So that's what I'm going to pick, June 24th.
Correct. Look at you using logic.
I can't believe I actually found logic to figure that out. That's amazing. June 24th, a day that will go down in logging history, right? All right. You have anything you want to add on that, or are we ready to?
Nope. That's all I got.
Yeah, I was going to say, we lived it. We know it. Okay, here's what I did. John, in the 25 episodes so far, how many true or false questions have I asked? Not have been in the show, but that have been on part of my quizzes specifically. 7, 12, 16, or 21?
I think it's either 12 or 16. I know that almost every quiz I've made has had a true or false. I don't know if it's entirely accurate. That every single one. I mean, we've also had guests on, so that would have meant that you didn't make a quiz. I'm gonna go with 12.
You're gonna choose 12. 12 true or false
questions
12. That I put in my quizzes. John, that is correct. Nice job. Yeah, good logic. It's funny because I thought it was going to be more. In my head, I was kind of like, I think I've thrown a true-false question in most of my quizzes. And then as I started going through each quiz, I was like, oh, this one doesn't. And then, I do think most of yours, you probably would have a higher amount of true-false questions, I think. But, and fun fact that I did not include in this quiz is one of the questions I wanted to ask was, in the joggling episode, how many questions did Barry ask us? And I did not go back to listen to find out.
It was so many.
Yeah, it was. And we edited some of them out, and we love Barry. But it was just like, it was hilarious how many questions there were, but it was a lot of fun. So anyways, we're both 1 for 1 to start. This is a big celebration. Look at us go.
And speaking of true or false.
Okay.
True or false? Very first question of episode 1.
Wow.
I asked it first.
True or false? Did John ask the very first question? I remember what my first question was because these were quizzes about ourselves to get to know ourselves. Yeah. And I know for a fact that the first question I asked was, what is my middle name? And John knew that it was
Jay.
Jay, Jay, because that was actually what I went by when he met me. That was my middle name. It still is my middle name, in fact. John, I can't remember what your first question was, so I'm having a hard time placing.
I don't remember what my first question was.
You don't even remember what it was, but you know for sure who asked first.
Yep.
Here's what I'm going to do a little bit of psychological evaluation on myself. Because as you're discovering in this moment, as we all know, I can talk a lot. I can go off and I won't shut up. I could see myself thinking in my head, I talk a lot. I'm going to hog the mic. Let John go first to sort of set a tone so that I don't talk too much. So I'm going to guess that you asked the first question. I'm going to say that that's true. You asked the first question.
Incorrect.
I hogged the mic, didn't I?
You didn't necessarily hog it. You just went first.
I went first. That's funny. I used reverse psychology on myself just now. But you don't remember what your question was?
I don't. I mean,
was it about siblings? You had a tattoo question. Was it how many siblings do I have?
How many? Right.
Yep. And it's 1. The answer is 1.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Good job. So I'm 1 for 2. We're going into question 2 for you. John, in episode 2, this is why I remembered that it was the 4th of July episode. I did a quiz about the Sandlot. So in that Sandlot quiz, John, you got 4 out of 5 correct. You almost got a 5 out of 5. What was the correct answer to the one that you missed? Okay. So these were all actual answers given. What was the correct answer to the one you missed? Was it Babe Ruth, Squints, Wendy Peppercorn, or fart sniffing butt crust?
Fart sniffing butt crust.
You remember that pretty clearly? That's correct.
I do.
That was a question. I even included it. I remember to make a note of this. So the question was, which of the following is not one of the insults hurled between Ham and the leader of the Tigers Little League Baseball Club? And just a fart sniffing butt crust, I made up all on my own. But the other choices that were in that exchange were pee drinking crap face, scab eater, and buffalo butt breath. And I don't remember what you chose, but not that it matters.
I don't remember either.
You did not choose fart sniffing butt crust, and that was your fatal mistake. And what I'll tell you, John, is that was the last question. So you were 4 for 4. And in episode 2, you almost got our first perfect score. I genuinely don't mean this. Like, I genuinely don't remember. I got a perfect score once, right?
Yeah, you have. I'm not sure I have.
Yeah, I think there's only been one, and I can't even remember when it was. And it's funny because you've probably had more 4 out of 5s than I've had. But I had one show where I got the miracle happened and I got a 5 out of 5. All right. Good job, John. 2 for 2. You're on pace for a perfect score here.
After 26 episodes or 25.
Yeah, maybe it'll happen.
So which episode has had the most listens?
Wow.
Episode 17, the hosts play cornhole.
Okay.
Episode 3, the Burger Wars, which was a very tasty episode.
That was a very tasty episode.
Episode 7, the hosts delve deep, which was our first guest host.
Yes.
And episode 1, the beginning, but for reals.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, the host Delve Deep was our Dungeons and Dragons episode with my buddy Julian, and he was awesome. That was our first guest. Burger Wars was between In-N-Out and White Castle.
Yep.
Okay, so here, I'm going to rule out Cornhole. I love James Stay Soon, our guest for Cornhole. That was awesome. But, and I do think he shared that on some places, so it probably did get some extra listens that way. But I know I haven't looked at statistics for our episodes in a long time, but I remember when we did that, yeah, Burger Wars and The Beginning, but for Reals were both pretty high up. And the reason that the Dungeons and Dragons episode might be it is that the hashtags for D&D and Dungeons and Dragons really drove up our listens and has been one of our most listened to episodes. But I gotta say, I'm going to pick episode 1, The Beginning, but for Reals, because when we first promoted it and when people first come to find us, even if we were like 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes in, they would for sure listen to episode 1 just to get a feel. And I think for that reason, it has more listens than any other. So I'm going to choose episode 1. Yeah.
Correct.
Awesome.
And in fact, those are actually the top 4 episodes as of recording.
They are the top 4. Wow. Cornhole is up. So is it?
It's in reverse order.
So we got the first episode, Dungeons and Dragons, Burger Wars, and Cornhole are our top 4 episodes.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. That was a good question, John. I like that. Dude, these quizzes are actually really good. This is fun, man. Maybe we're just enjoying it because we're the host, but I hope others are enjoying it as well.
Hopefully.
All right, you ready for number 3?
Yep.
Kind of a similar question to number 1. In the 25 episodes so far, how many of my questions have included a visual aid? And just for clarification, that includes on some of these, it's like I just threw up a picture to show it. And some of them, like there was a picture for the option. So in any case that there was a question had a visual aid, is it 5, 10, 15, or 20? How many questions have included a visual aid by me specifically?
Right. I mean, you've easily made, let's see here. There's 5 questions an episode. We've had guests. So, I mean, you've made 50, 60, 70 questions. Wow,
that's crazy to think about.
If not more.
That's almost as many as Barry came up with for one episode.
Right? Yeah. I'm going to go with 20 because I know you like to put pictures in.
That is a good reason to pick 20. So you're locking in 20?
Yep.
That is incorrect. Oh. Sorry. It was 10. It is 10, and I actually did make a list of each one. Just I'll quickly go through. The very first one was me and Ethan from Survivor at the airport. There was a picture of that. I included a picture of Ma Long, the table tennis champion. Me and Adam Sandler at Disney World. Me at the World Series was used. We saw my Halloween EP cover. We saw the Ernest Scared Stupid image, which brings a smile to my face because I love Ernest. I showed you the 4 troll options that I owned as a kid. There was Sherry, who is the owner of the Troll Hole in somewhere in Ohio.
Right.
And then there was the Impractical Jokers tattoos. Which tattoos did they get? And then my Gizmo toys. Which one of these Gizmo toys that I own? So it was 10, which was
okay.
Which actually was more than I expected, and I'm realizing, oh yeah, I do like to use visual aids, don't I? Perfect for a podcast format. It's right? Brilliant.
I mean, and just because of the season, and you mentioned Ernest as a public service announcement, Ernest Saves Christmas is on Disney Plus.
Yes! Actually, I saw that the other day, and I was like, all right, I know where I'm watching this now.
Sadly, none of the other Ernest movies are on Disney Plus, but
yeah, I hope someday that
one of my favorites is.
Yeah, someday hopefully Ernest goes to camp and all the other Ernest. We have talked about this before. We're doing an Ernest episode. We need to find some way. Maybe we need to quiz somebody else about Ernest because we're both obsessed with him. But I'm glad this got brought up. All right, so we are both 2 for 3, right?
Yeah, and I've actually had to stop myself from saying the answer to this question a few times already. How many guests have we had?
Oh, good job.
6, 7, 8, or 9.
That is good because I did not go back and count this, but I'm hoping that I can do the count in my head right now. I'm going to go from most recent. So we just had Jeff on. We had Barry the Joggler. I'll probably miss one in there and maybe I'll come back to it. So that's 2. We had, I'm losing track of the order, but we had Devin on Bigfoot. We had Greg on Ultimate Frisbee. We had Julian on Dungeons and Dragons. We had James on Cornhole. So that's 6. We had Jeff on the first time briefly, but that still keeps it as one guess.
Yeah, I didn't count that either.
Count doubles. Oh, we had Dr. Documentary. There's 7. That's your sister, whose name we shall not say. Okay, I'll feel so bad if I left somebody out. I'm saying 7. I'm locking it in. 7 guess. Oh, thank God.
As far as my count, that's correct.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think we've had any other guests on. That's pretty good. What is that? 7, 8, 12. That's almost 30%, right? 35%, something 32%.
Yeah,
am I right?
Give or take.
Close to that range. That's not bad. And what I will say is, not, without making any promises, John and I have really talked about how much we like the episodes with guests and how we really like the chemistry that exists between us two and a guest. And it is a goal to have more guests. So
right,
something to look forward to in the next 26 episodes.
Exactly.
All right. So that was question 4. Have I only missed one?
Correct.
I think I just missed the very first. So I'm 3 for 4. You're 2 for 3, trying to tie me here. With question number 4, in episode 8, which was about our favorite Summer Olympic events of table tennis and cycling, how many times does Kevin say ping pong? 3, 7, 10, or 14? And I did go back and I listened and I kept a tally. And the reason this is pertinent is because I was embarrassed when I mistakenly would call it ping pong because the sport is called table tennis.
Trying to choose between 10 and 14.
Again, the options are 3, 7, 10, and 14. How many times do I say ping pong?
I'm going to go with 10.
Choosing 10?
Yep, I'm saying you hit double digits.
That is incorrect. Sorry, John. It was 7, which I was surprised at. I thought it would be double digits. I was semi-impressed with myself as I listened, because in my head, it was so like, oh my God, I keep saying ping pong. It also includes when I referred to like, oh, I don't want to call it ping pong. So there were instances of that. And what's funny is technically, I didn't want to get technical with it, but I technically said it 7.5 times because I think it was the very last time. I should have gotten a clip of it, but I said something like, yeah, so when you're playing oh my gosh, I almost said ping pong. That's exactly, so I did say ping pong, but I said it half a time also, but so yeah, technically 7.5 times.
Now make that 10.
Well, I've already said ping pong more times in this episode than in that episode. It probably is 10. If somebody was keeping count, tell us, let us know. All right, so that makes you 2 for 4. So if I get this last one, I'll win, and there's a chance we could tie if I miss it.
Exactly. What has been my favorite episode to record?
Oh, I like this.
Episode 10, now that's what we call Music Volume 1.
Uh-huh.
Episode 25, Logging with Log. Episode 13, The Ultimate Quiz. Episode 22, The One About Joggling.
I like that this last one is a subjective? Is that right? Or is it objective?
Yeah.
Subjective.
Subjective.
I like that because that's one of the things I like about our quizzes is not all of these are technically like factually based. Like there's no way for me to know this for sure. I just have to guess as I dissect each one. So there's episode 10. Now that's what we call music. Logging with Log was the one with Jeff that we just did, which I do think you enjoyed a lot. It was fun. I mean, I think you enjoyed all of these, but like the ultimate quiz with Greg, I think you enjoyed. That was a fun. I mean, and then the one about joggling was with Barry. It's funny because I did not do the same assessment and think about that. My choice might be the one about joggling just because it was so silly and I loved Barry so much and I talk about him all the time. What jumped out at me was Now That's What We Call Music Volume 1. You did shanties, I did ska. We both bonded over music when we first met. We both like music a lot. You, in fact, even texted me today about the Longest Johns, who are a shanty band, and they released, what was it again?
The album's called Commodore 1864.
And the style of music is called?
Chiptune.
Chiptune, which is like old Nintendo sounds. So they took and it's really good. I listened and I was so into it.
But I will let you know that my listening to that today had no basis on no
bearing on this question.
Right. It showed up in my Apple Music new listen playlist.
Whether it's wrong or right, it's just a coincidence that happened. You know, it's funny because the more I think about I'm pretty sure I'm still going to choose episode 10, but the more I think about it, I remember you also, God, you enjoyed all these episodes, John. I remember you having fun with all of these. I think we both had fun with all of them. I'm going to lock in episode 10 and say, Now That's What We Call Music Volume 1. Oh, I got it. Nice.
And honestly, I thought about marking not a single one of them correct. So it would have been a wrong answer, whatever you chose, just because they were all really fun to record.
Yeah, man. They were. It's funny because
then I figured that'd be too mean.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And that was fun to sort of do the quizzes for that and to do the research. And even now I'll randomly throw on the playlist that we made for that. That's on Spotify and Apple Music. If you look up Block of Genius episode 10 playlist, you can find that. So I won the episode, but that's, look, this has never been about winning or losing. This is the question I had fun creating. And this is the first time I've had an audio answer, which unfortunately the quiz did not allow me to put the audio clips up on the quiz. So I only have the quotes themselves. But here's what the question is. And I have sound clips to go with this. Since the Bigfoot episode, which was episode 16 with my friend Devin, Kevin has been hiding a highlight clip at the very end of each episode. It's right after the theme song ends at the very end of the episode. Which of the following is not one of those clips? And what I'll start with is I'll play the one that inspired this answer. This was the very first one we did. So this is not one of your choices. This is the very first time I did this. Here it is. Podcast.
No one has done more for Bigfoots than me, personally.
That was Devin doing his Donald Trump impression because we, for some reason, brought up, I bet Donald Trump claims he knows everything about Bigfoot, and then he dropped that. And so I threw that in at the end of the episode, and I've been doing it ever since. So your choices are, so which one of these was not used at the end of an episode? Is it, this is choice A.
I kind of feel like Lance Bass.
That was, here, I'll play it one more time.
I kind of feel like Lance Bass.
The second one is... Hang on a sec. I just want to make sure my dog's chewing something he's supposed to. I'm sorry. It's been such a distraction. My dog got tortillas. My dog got tortillas. All right, let me play that one more time just so you can separate what is me and what is the clip. Hang on a sec. I just want to make sure my dog's chewing something he's supposed to. I'm sorry. It's been such a distraction. My dog got tortillas. And choice C, here we go. I'm going to hit it in 3, 2, 1.
We're talking over 150 million pounds of spam.
That, by the way, so that was, I like the 150 million, but I was so proud of my fun that here, I'll play it one more time. Here we go.
We're talking over 150 million pounds of spam.
I can't even do it as good as I did that time. And your very last option is, this one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Combinatorial.
Computatorial?
Combinatorics.
Count Dracula, is he a Countinatorian? What was that again? I don't even remember what that was, John.
It had to do with the creator of magic. It was his degree. His
degree was in combinatorial mathematics, which now I can say the word fine. Let me play that one more time. Here we go.
Combinatorial.
Computatorial?
Combinatorics.
Count Dracula, is he a Countinatorian? Okay, so we've heard enough, I think. I mean, I'll play anyone again if you want me to, but do you what are you thinking?
I have to admit something, Kevin.
You haven't heard any of these.
No.
I knew you hadn't because you hadn't mentioned them, and that's part of why I put this in here. And I don't know if our listeners have either, because I mean, maybe some have. I don't expect every listener.
No one said anything.
Yeah,
as far as I know, and I feel horrible that I haven't really listened because one, I trust your editing abilities.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't feel like I need to listen to make sure you did a good editing job.
You lived it. You don't need to go back and listen.
And two, I hate listening to myself.
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, I don't mean to. You can continue to not listen, but like. I get, maybe it's because I work in radio, but I almost need to listen to myself to hear what I can improve on. I totally get. I mean, like I said, I trust your editing skills. I know that, whatever you put together is going to be the best that you can put together. That's really nice, man. And I know that if there's anything that I need to improve on, you're going to tell me. So yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that is why I listen. Like I edit the episode, but then I always listen the day it comes out because I want to hear how it sounds as a complete product. And it's not just for like, what can I do better in my delivery, but what can I do better in editing? What can I do? What can the show do to sound better? So it's, but yeah, man, I kind of figured you didn't, and I'm not upset about that at all. I also wanted to put this question in to remind people to listen to including this episode. I don't know what the clip's going to be yet, but there'll be a clip at the end of this episode. It's just a little tag that I like to throw in at the end of every episode.
Oh, but now I gotta actually choose.
Now you got to choose one. One of these I did not actually use at the end of an episode.
I'm gonna go with my dog got tortillas.
You're going to go with this one? Hang on a sec. I just want to make sure my dog's chewing something he's supposed to. I'm sorry. It's been
You're
such a
fine.
distraction. My dog got tortillas. John, that is correct. Nice job.
The reason why I went with that one is I feel like that's the one where if you were going to put it at the end, you would just put my dog got tortillas.
I probably would have, exactly. And what I did have that episode is that episode Coconut was just going crazy and
Is that the one where he chewed your pajamas?
He chewed my pajamas. He literally chewed a piece out of them. He got my hamper from the living area. And I was like, I literally left at one point during the podcast. I said, hang on, my dog got something big. And I come back, it's like, he was chewing my hamper. And I got all those clips and I edited them together and I was going to do a social post, but it didn't play as like funny as I expected it to. So I had that clip set aside. But yeah, I did do one of my favorites, even though it's so simple, is this one.
I kind of feel like Lance Bass.
I just
taken out of context, it's incredibly funny.
It is very funny. It kills me. I also pulled out a few that I did not include in this question, including this one. Let me take a picture with the turkey. Come on, bring the camera. So stupid. This is the one I used on last episode. This one's very subtle, but here it is. Gosh, smart. You're so smart. I was just so blown away by your smartness. And then this was a fun one too. This is the last one I have. I thought 100% I was going to be juggling bags of my dog's poop. Yeah, that's just,
right?
Even in context.
I thought you were going to be doing that too.
That was a weird one in context too. Yeah, I'm shocked that I wasn't. But yeah, hey, you got the right answer, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I won the episode, which is crazy.
You did.
And it's funny because I was listening back, obviously I was listening back to a few episodes and man, at first you had such a huge lead on me. And look, I'm up by 2 now. It's not a huge lead, but it is crazy how it's balanced out. And it just, it makes me think there's balance.
You stepped up your quiz making skills.
Exactly. I've made them a lot harder now. So, dude, that was a lot of fun though. That was
it was.
I do hope that you listening, especially if you've been a part of this from the beginning, enjoyed that review of sorts, because it was a lot of fun for us. It's this is a big part of our lives, and so it's a nice chance. It's almost like going back and reading a journal, like, oh yeah, I remember that day. So
right,
it is mid-December right now, and next week, if I'm not mistaken, that's our Christmas episode, right?
Yeah, we're going to record our Christmas one. Yeah. Yep. I mean, Christmas will be 2 days after the next episode comes out. So
let me just get these going. It's just to have a little ambient sound. Yeah. So,
and I know Kevin's been wearing his Christmas shirts every day. I don't have Christmas shirts to wear every day, but I do have a brand new Christmas sweater that I think I'll probably wear next week.
Oh, so. I won't spoil it, but it's the one that you told me about, right?
Yep.
Yes, please do. And I believe this was in the pre-show. And again, if you're a patron, you can listen to our pre-show on Patreon. We appreciate all of our patrons, and we'd really appreciate it if you became one. And that's one of the perks is that you get to listen to our pre-show. But in the pre-show, I was saying, I'm wearing a shirt that says "Just Chillin'," and it's got a snowman with a chain on him, and it lights up, a chain necklace, and it lights up. And I was telling John, I just put my shirts in, I hang them up, and then I just pull them out in order. So I don't know what the next day is going to be. It's just whatever the next one is. So I don't know what shirt I'm going to be wearing, John. It's going to be very exciting, but we will both be festive. I don't like eggnog, but maybe I'll drink some eggnog.
I don't like it either. So.
Well, and it's fun because I've learned, and I don't want to spoil anything about the quiz. I bet you I'm going to put a question in about eggnog, but there are a lot of polarizing things about Christmas, and not offensively polarizing, but almost like pineapple on pizza is polarizing. It's which you're game for pineapple on pizza, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. We're both pineapple. Oh my gosh, Hawaiian pizza is my favorite.
One of the best things to come out of Canada.
That's true. They created Hawaiian pizza, didn't they? Which is hilarious, but it does have a very Hawaiian flavor to it, and I'll be sure
it does.
What I mean is like just that tropical flavor. And what's funny too is I'll be sure not to put this on the quiz, but a little tease for next week. My favorite Christmas song, very hard to choose, but it's actually, I think it's Mele Kalikimaka, which is
a good one.
The Hawaiian way to say Merry Christmas. There's a lot up there, but I just love every version of that song. I love it. It's so up, and it's kind of ska-like, I think, is part of why it's got that kind of upstroke reggae ska.
Is there a ska version?
Yes, Real Big Fish covers it, which that may be. one of the so I would recommend going and listening to a Real Big Fish's version of Mele Kalikimaka. And even though you wouldn't think this is an artist that I would like typically, but Casey Musgraves does a really great Mele Kalikimaka.
Okay.
I believe she does a live duet with Zooey Deschanel from not The Office, from New Girl. And also Elf, one of the all-time Christmas classics. So look, man, we have a lot of Christmas ground to cover. We're an episode early and we're already digging in.
Yeah.
But man, I'm looking forward to that next week. I love Christmas season, and we're looking forward to sharing our I love of the holidays with you next week. All right, John, congratulations on 26 episodes. Let's keep going, man. I'm so grateful for you, dude.
Yeah, I'm thankful for you too.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
You did not choose fart sniffing butt crust, and that was your fatal mistake.